In the early 2010s, excitement for Spider-Man 4 was at its peak, following the success of Sam Raimi's Spider-Man trilogy. Fans were eager to see what Raimi, Tobey Maguire, and the rest of the returning cast would bring to the next chapter in Peter Parker's life. However, in an unexpected turn of events, Spider-Man 4 was canceled, leading to a reboot of the franchise with The Amazing Spider-Man in 2012, starring Andrew Garfield. The cancellation of Spider-Man 4 left many wondering what could have been, and why such a promising project came to an abrupt end. The reasons behind the film's cancellation involve a mix of creative differences, timeline pressures, and a shifting focus at Sony Pictures. Sam Raimi had a clear vision for the fourth installment in the Spider-Man saga. Following the mixed reception of Spider-Man 3, which faced criticism for its overstuffed plot and excessive number of villains, Raimi aimed to return to the basics with Spider-Man 4. He wanted to create a more character-driven story, focused on Peter Parker's personal growth and his battle with a singular, well-developed antagonist. Raimi had plans for the film to introduce new villains into the franchise. One of the primary villains was set to be the Vulture, portrayed by John Malkovich. The Vulture, a classic villain from the Spider-Man comics, would have been a formidable foe for Peter, combining aerial combat and intelligence to challenge the hero in new ways. Alongside him, there were rumors of Anne Hathaway playing Felicia Hardy, a character known as Black Cat in the comics. However, in Raimi's vision, she was expected to transform into a character called the Vulturess rather than Black Cat, providing a unique twist on the source material. In addition to these new characters, Spider-Man 4 was set to delve deeper into Peter's relationship with Mary Jane Watson, played by Kirsten Dunst. After the tumultuous events of Spider-Man 3, their relationship would have been a central focus, addressing themes of reconciliation and the challenges of maintaining a life as both Peter Parker and Spider-Man. Raimi wanted to ground the story in Peter's emotional journey, while still delivering the thrilling action sequences that had become a hallmark of the trilogy. Creative differences and script issues. Despite Raimi's clear vision for the film, the production faced several hurdles that ultimately led to its downfall. One of the key reasons behind the film's cancellation was creative differences between Raimi and Sony Pictures. Raimi, known for his meticulous attention to detail and strong directorial style, was unhappy with the scripts being developed for the film. Multiple rewrites were commissioned, and despite efforts to refine the story, Raimi felt that the scripts did not meet his standards. The pressure to deliver a compelling story was exacerbated by the looming release date. Sony had already set a May 6, 2011 release for the film, but Raimi expressed concerns that he would not be able to meet the deadline while also ensuring the film's quality. He was determined not to repeat the mistakes of Spider-Man 3, which he had publicly stated he was unhappy with due to studio interference and the forced inclusion of certain characters like Venom. As the development process dragged on, tensions grew between Raimi and Sony. Raimi wanted more time to perfect the script, but the studio was eager to capitalize on the success of the previous films and stick to their planned release schedule. The disconnect between Raimi's creative approach and Sony's commercial priorities created an impasse that could not be resolved. By January 2010, the situation had reached a breaking point. Raimi, frustrated by the script issues and the studio's timeline demands, made the difficult decision to step away from the project. Without Raimi at the helm, Sony faced a critical decision: should they continue with Spider-Man 4 under a new director, or take the franchise in a completely different direction? Ultimately, Sony decided to cancel Spider-Man 4 entirely and reboot the franchise with a new creative team. The studio had already begun exploring the idea of rebooting the series, particularly in light of the growing trend of darker, grittier superhero films like The Dark Knight. They saw an opportunity to reinvent Spider-Man for a new generation of moviegoers, focusing on a younger Peter Parker and his high school years. In January 2010, Sony issued a press release announcing the cancellation of Spider-Man 4. The studio praised Raimi and his contributions to the franchise, but emphasized that they were moving forward with a new vision for Spider-Man. The decision marked the end of an era for fans who had followed Tobey Maguire's portrayal of Peter Parker since 2002. What could have been? The cancellation of Spider-Man 4 left many unanswered questions about what the film could have been. With Malkovich's Vulture and Hathaway's Felicia Hardy, the film promised to introduce new dynamics and conflicts for Peter Parker. The emotional stakes were also set to be higher, with Peter and Mary Jane's relationship at the forefront of the story. There were also rumors that Bruce Campbell, a frequent collaborator of Raimi's, would have played a larger role in the film. Campbell had made cameo appearances in the first 3 Spider-Man films, and it was speculated that he would take on a more significant role in Spider-Man 4, possibly as Mysterio, another iconic Spider-Man villain. In addition to the new villains, Spider-Man 4 would have continued to explore the consequences of Peter's actions from the previous films. The fallout from his battle with the symbiote suit, his strained relationships with friends and loved ones, and his ongoing internal struggle with his dual identity were all potential storylines that could have been explored in greater depth. The impact of the cancellation. The cancellation of Spider-Man 4 had a profound impact on both the Spider-Man franchise and the broader superhero movie landscape. For Sony, the decision to reboot the series marked a turning point. They quickly moved forward with The Amazing Spider-Man, directed by Mark Webb and starring Andrew Garfield as a younger, more modern Peter Parker. The reboot aimed to differentiate itself from Raimi's films by focusing on a more grounded, realistic portrayal of Spider-Man, while also exploring the mystery of Peter's parents. While The Amazing Spider-Man was a commercial success, grossing over $750 million worldwide, it struggled to capture the same level of critical acclaim as Raimi's trilogy. The rebooted franchise ultimately faced its own set of challenges, with The Amazing Spider-Man 2 receiving mixed reviews and failing to meet box office expectations. This led Sony to once again reevaluate their approach to the character, eventually striking a deal with Marvel Studios to integrate Spider-Man into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, MCU, where Tom Holland would take over the role of Peter Parker. Despite the cancellation of Spider-Man 4, Sam Raimi's Spider-Man trilogy remains one of the most beloved superhero franchises of all time. Raimi's films helped pave the way for the modern superhero movie genre, blending heart, humor, and action in a way that resonated with audiences worldwide. Tobey Maguire's portrayal of Peter Parker became iconic, and the trilogy's emotional depth and memorable characters left a lasting impact on fans. In recent years, there has been renewed interest in Raimi's Spider-Man universe, particularly after the release of Spider-Man: No Way Home, which saw the return of Tobey Maguire as Spider-Man alongside Andrew Garfield and Tom Holland. The film's success reignited discussions about the possibility of revisiting Raimi's Spider-Man in a future project, with fans expressing their desire to see a proper conclusion to Maguire's story. While Spider-Man 4 never came to fruition, its legacy lives on in the imaginations of fans who continue to speculate about what could have been. The cancellation of the film marked the end of an era for Spider-Man, but it also opened the door for new interpretations of the character. Raimi's influence on the superhero genre cannot be overstated, and his Spider-Man films remain a beloved part of cinematic history.